Every single morning, it's the same drill. Alarm goes off, I hit snooze once, maybe twice, then drag myself out of bed. Coffee, shower, pick out something that says I'm a graphic designer, but also I respect deadlines. Then, out the door. My life is usually neat, predictable. I like it that way. Anything out of place, my brain just flags it. I'm a creature of habit, I guess. And I need to know why. If something's weird, there's gotta be a reason. Always. My commute to the office? It's part of the routine. The same sidewalks, the same cracked paving stones, the same slightly annoying bus stop where people always seem to be having the most intense phone conversations, and the stores. Always the same stores. There's this one place, a vintage fashion boutique, kinda old school, you know? It's not exactly trendy, but it's got this vibe, like a relic from another era, sitting there right in the middle of all the modern glass and steel. Most days I just breeze past it, barely noticing. It's just background noise, part of the scenery, really. But then, there's her. In the display window, there's this mannequin, an old one, like proper vintage. Pale, painted features, a bit chipped if you get close enough. Always dressed in some slightly moth-eaten gown or a tweed suit from the 60s. For years, I swear, she's just been there, a silent sentinel. But over time, I started noticing things. Tiny things, microscopic really. At first, it was just a flicker, a trick of the light, I told myself, a shadow playing games. But then, it happened again, and again. Like one day, her left pinky finger might look a bit curled in, like she was trying to subtly adjust a ring that wasn't there. The next week, her head, instead of looking straight ahead, would tilt just a hair, a millimeter, maybe two. Nothing major, nothing you'd notice if you weren't walking past that window every single damn day. But I did. My brain, it just snaps into problem-solving mode, right? And I thought, oh, okay, smart. They're just switching up the display, making it look fresh, you know? It made perfect sense. I mean, it's a clothing store. They move things around. They change the outfits. Why wouldn't they adjust the mannequin's pose? It's part of the job. In my head, I even had this fuzzy image, this vague memory of one really late night, pouring rain, streetlights all blurry through the drops on the bus window. I was heading home, and I saw something, a silhouette, quick, inside the store, moving, like someone was working late. And it just clicked. That had to be it. Someone was in there, adjusting the mannequin, probably had a whole bunch of them, rotating them out, posing them differently. That little memory, however flimsy, was enough. It was my logical explanation. It made the little changes okay. It smoothed out that tiny, almost imperceptible prickle of unease that had started to form. It was just normal store stuff, nothing to freak out about. So I kept walking past, kept noticing the tiny shifts. A sleeve slightly pulled up, a hand resting a fraction of an inch higher on her hip, a foot turning inward. And I just thought, they really put effort into their displays, don't they? It was part of the city's backdrop, a quirky detail in my otherwise perfectly organized world. But lately, though, it felt different. The changes started getting less subtle, more deliberate, like someone was trying to catch my eye. A few weeks ago, her arm was definitely bent at a sharper angle than I remembered. Last week, her head was tilted so far, it looked like she was peering over her shoulder, right at the sidewalk, right at me. I tried to shake it off. Evelyn, I told myself, you're just hyper-aware. You've been looking at this thing for too long. You're seeing things that aren't there. Then came Tuesday. The rain was holding off, but the sky was that heavy, bruised purple color. I was walking, phone in hand, just scrolling, half watching where I was going. My usual pace. As I passed the shop window, something made me look up. Maybe it was a flicker in my peripheral vision, or maybe just habit. And there she was, the mannequin, still in that dusty old dress. Her head was tilted, just last week. But this time, I swear to God, her mouth was curving up. Just a whisper of a smile, faint, almost invisible. But it was there. My breath hitched. My feet just froze, right there on the sidewalk. I stared, hard. Like if I blinked, it would vanish. I stood there, rooted, probably looking like a crazy person to anyone walking by. My mind was racing, trying to find a reason. A shadow? A reflection from the street? The way the dim light hit the paint? Anything. No, no way, I muttered under my breath, my voice barely audible. It's just the light. It has to be. I tried to laugh it off, a dry, humorless sound in my throat. I forced myself to tear my eyes away, to take another step. My heart was going 1,000,000 miles an hour, thumping against my ribs. I tried to dismiss it, to tell myself I was overthinking, just imagining things. But as I took that step, then another, I felt it. The eyes, those dead glass eyes. They didn't just look at me, they followed me. For a split second, a cold, hard stare that felt like it reached right into my head. I didn't just feel like I was being watched, I felt like I was being tracked. A shiver, an ice-cold bolt shot down my spine. My skin felt like it was crawling. I didn't dare turn back, couldn't. My legs, they just took off, a little faster than my usual brisk pace. My face felt hot, my palms were sweating. I just kept walking, faster and faster, staring straight ahead, trying to pretend it hadn't happened. My mind was yelling at me, "What the actual hell, Evelyn? Get a grip. You're seeing things. You're losing it." But the smile and those eyes, they just burned into the back of my mind. They refused to fade. It was just a mannequin, right? That damn smile, that faint, almost invisible curve on her lips, it just wouldn't leave my head. Even after I'd sprinted away from the window, even after I'd locked myself in my apartment, it was there, printed behind my eyelids, like a watermark. So yeah, after that, I started paying attention more, way more. Every single morning, no matter how much I told myself to just ignore it, my eyes would automatically drift to that shop window as I passed. It was like a magnetic pull, this horrible morbid curiosity. And every single morning, it felt like something was different. Just tiny things at first, like before. A slight shift in the way her head rested, a subtle bend in a finger. My brain still tried to do its thing, the whole problem-solving loop. Maybe it was the way the streetlights caught the glass on a cloudy day, creating some weird illusion. Maybe it was just the angle I was walking at. Maybe, just maybe, I was seriously stressing out about this new project at work, and my brain was playing tricks on me. Hallucinations. That's a thing, right? Stress-induced hallucinations. It sounded way more sane than anything else. I even went down a rabbit hole online. Seriously, late at night, when I should have been sleeping, I was Googling stuff like mannequin display techniques vintage stores and how often do mannequins get moved. I needed a logical reason, something, anything to cling to. And sure, there were articles about dynamic displays and seasonal changes. It all just reinforced my old comforting narrative. See? Totally normal, nothing to freak out about. But man, the unease, it just kept growing. It wasn't that sharp, sudden terror anymore. It was this dull, constant throb behind my eyes, a feeling like something was just off, deeply, fundamentally wrong, like a tiny splinter under my skin that you can't see but you can feel, always. My logical brain was screaming, "Evelyn, get a grip, you're being ridiculous, it's a plastic doll." But then there was this other part of me, this primal little voice that whispered, "No, it's not. It's watching." It was a constant fight inside my head, reason versus pure, unadulterated gut feeling. And for the first time in my life, my gut was winning, slowly but surely. I found myself checking locks twice, jumping at shadows that weren't there, waking up in the middle of the night convinced I'd heard something scratching at my window.
Just silly stuff, right? But it was enough to make my palms sweat during the day and my heart race in the quiet of my apartment. Then the shifts stopped being so subtle. Forget a curled pinky or a tilted head. These were bigger, more obvious. One day, I'm walking past, headphones on, trying to just zone out, and I glanced up. Her entire body. It wasn't just facing straight ahead anymore. It was angled, just slightly, towards the sidewalk, towards my usual path, like she'd pivoted on her stand, like she was waiting for something, for me.
My stomach did a weird flip-flop. I yanked my headphones off, my breath catching in my throat. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, then opened them again, forcing myself to look. Nothing. Still, stone-faced. Just a mannequin. But the angle, it was definitely different. The next day, it was the hand. Not just a curled finger now. Her whole right hand was raised, resting lightly on her chest, like a gesture. A weird, almost human gesture. My brain, already frayed, immediately flashed back to that faint smile. My skin prickled all over. I tried to walk by slowly, to really get a good look, to catch it in the act. But every time I made a conscious effort to stare, to analyze, she was perfectly still, frozen, unmoving. It was only in my peripheral vision, those split seconds before my eyes fully landed on her, that I felt it. That sensation of movement, a ghost of a shift, a whisper of motion. My heart would pound like a drum solo against my ribs, and then I'd blink and she'd be back to being just a mannequin. I started messing with my routine, tried leaving for work 10 minutes earlier, then 15 minutes later, took a slightly different route on the other side of the street just to change the perspective. It didn't help. The feeling was always there. That heavy, prickling sensation on the back of my neck, like those dead glass eyes were drilling into me, even from across the street, even when I was trying my absolute best not to look. It felt like no matter what I did, no matter how I tried to avoid it, she was still tracking me, like a predator tracking its prey. My brain kept telling me I was crazy, that this was just my imagination running wild, but the cold dread was becoming a constant companion. One evening, I had to work late, way late. My office was pretty empty, just the hum of the computers and the distant city noises. By the time I finally wrapped things up and stepped outside, it was past midnight. The city was different then, quieter, darker. A few streetlights were out on my block, leaving patches of deep shadow along the sidewalk. My phone was dead, of course, because when you need it most, technology always fails you. As I approached that stretch of road, the one with the vintage shop, my steps slowed without me even realizing it. The store itself was completely dark, obviously, no interior lights, just the faint, blurry glow from the distant businesses and a couple of half-broken streetlights further down the block, casting long, twisted shadows. It was enough to see the window. Enough to see her. I tried not to look, really. I focused on the cracks in the pavement, on my own 2 feet. But something made me glance up, just a quick flick of my eyes. And that's when I saw it. I swear to God I saw it. In the murky, distorted reflection of the faraway lights on the glass. Her eyes. Those pale, lifeless glass eyes. They gleamed, just for a split second. A tiny, almost imperceptible flash. Not like a reflection off a static object, not a trick of the light. It was alive, a spark, like something had just woken up. My heart literally stopped. Then it roared back to life, hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would burst. My breath hitched, a tiny gasp caught in my throat. I didn't think, I just ran. I bolted down the street, my heels clacking against the concrete, the sound echoing eerily in the quiet night. I didn't look back, couldn't. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I just kept going. Faster, faster, until I was safe, or at least until I was home. I stumbled through my front door, fumbling with the locks, my hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped my keys.
My whole body was trembling, cold sweat plastering my hair to my forehead. I collapsed onto my couch, heart still pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. Okay, Evelyn. Okay, you're home. You're safe. It was nothing, just your mind playing tricks. I repeated it like a mantra, over and over, trying to convince myself. Just as my breathing started to even out a little, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. I must have had it on low power or something. I picked it up, my hand still a bit unsteady. It was a text from Sarah, a colleague. Hey Evelyn, just checking in. Saw you heading out pretty late tonight. You looked really tired, like you haven't slept in ages. Everything okay? My blood went ice cold. The phone nearly slipped from my numb fingers. I stared at the screen, reading the words again and again.
You looked really tired, like you haven't slept in ages. I hadn't told anyone about the sleepless nights, about the constant dread, about the way I kept waking up feeling watched. No one. How could Sarah have known? Was I really looking that bad? Or was it something else? Something that knew, something that had been watching me. And now it wasn't just in the window anymore. It was everywhere. It was in the casual text messages from my friends. It was in the creeping realization that my carefully constructed reality was coming apart at the seams, and I had no idea what to do next. That text from Sarah, man, it just messed me up. My blood ran cold, like really cold. You looked really tired, like you haven't slept in ages. How the hell did she know? I hadn't told anyone about the sleepless nights, the constant gnawing fear, the way I kept waking up feeling like eyes were burning into the back of my skull. Nobody. It was my secret, my messed up little personal horror movie playing on a loop. But Sarah saw it? Or it saw it? And somehow it told her? My brain tried to hit the brakes. No, Evelyn, come on. Sarah just noticed you looked crappy because, well, you do look crappy. You haven't slept, you're stressed, it's normal. But that little voice, that creepy whisper in the back of my mind, it just kept saying, no, it's watching, it knows. After that, everything just amplified. That feeling in my gut, that dull, constant ache, it wasn't dull anymore. It was sharp, like a knife twisting slowly, always there. Every time I had to walk past that damn vintage store, my heart would start thumping like a drum solo. I swear, it felt like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. I'd try to tell myself to chill. It's just a store, it's just a mannequin. But the panic was a physical thing, clawing at my throat, making it hard to breathe. I even tried to change my routine, just like before. Tried taking different routes to work, But that just made things worse. I'm a creature of habit. I like my perfect little schedule. Changing it up, going out of my way, it felt all wrong. Like I was letting it control me. And that was even scarier than the mannequin itself. It was messing with my whole life, my whole routine, everything I thought was normal and safe. One morning, the dread was a concrete block in my stomach. The sky was kind of a dull gray, not really raining, just that heavy, damp kind of air that promises rain but never delivers. Perfect horror movie weather, right? My usual path, my usual internal struggle. My eyes, against my will, just drifted to the shop window. And there she was. But this time, oh man, this time it wasn't subtle. Not a curled finger, not a tilted head, not even an angled body. She was turned, fully. Her entire upper half pivoted right at the waist, facing directly out, facing me. Her glass eyes, those dead, pale things, they weren't just looking in my general direction. They were fixed, right on me, piercing through me. I felt like she could see every single sleepless night, every shaky breath, every messed up thought running through my head. And that smile, that faint, almost invisible curve on her lips, gone. Now it was clear, sharp, a definite upward turn at the corners.
Not wide, not a grin, just a precise, thin line that screamed pure, unadulterated smugness. Like a challenge. Like she was saying, "Yeah, I did that. What are you gonna do about it?" My feet, they just froze, stuck to the pavement. A cold sweat broke out all over me, slicking my palms, trickling down my spine. My brain, the one that used to be so rational, so logical, was screaming. Not in panic, not really. More like a warning, a desperate plea. You can't run from this, Evelyn. Not anymore. It's here. It's real. That was it. The breaking point. My perfectly ordered world, my meticulous life, it was crumbling. My rationality, that fortress I'd built around myself, it was under attack. I needed answers. I needed a reason, any reason, something to cling to, something to tell myself that this wasn't happening, that I wasn't losing my mind. So I did the only thing I could think of, the stupidest, bravest, most terrifying thing. I walked right up to the front door of the vintage shop. My heart was a hummingbird trapped in my ribcage, beating so fast I felt dizzy. My hands were shaking. I shoved them deep into my pockets, trying to hide the tremor. Gotta look normal, Evelyn.
Gotta look casual. Just a girl browsing. I pushed open the heavy wooden door. A little bell jingled, kind of an old-timey, dusty sound. The air inside was cool, smelling faintly of old lace and mothballs. Racks of vintage clothes, forgotten treasures, filled the narrow aisles. It was dim, with sunlight filtering through the grimy window, creating hazy columns of light that danced with dust motes. Behind a counter near the back, a woman was carefully folding a silk scarf. Martha. I recognized her from seeing her around the neighborhood. She was older, probably in her 60s, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Her hair was a neat silver bun, and she wore a plain, sensible apron over a floral dress. She looked safe, normal. My last hope for a logical explanation. "Oh, hello there, dear," Martha said, her voice soft and warm. "Can I help you find anything?" I forced a smile. My face felt stiff, unnatural. "Hi, no, just browsing. Love your shop. It's so unique." My voice came out a little higher than I wanted. Damn it, don't freak out, Evelyn. Play it cool. I drifted through the aisles, pretending to admire a feathered hat, running my fingers over a velvet dress. My eyes kept darting towards the front window, where she was, the mannequin. I could still feel its presence, even through the wall, even with my back turned. It felt like a hot poker between my shoulder blades. After a few minutes of agonizing pretense, I walked back towards the counter, trying to sound as casual as possible. "You know, I walk past here every day on my way to work," I started, trying to make small talk. "I always admire your window displays. They're really eye-catching." Martha beamed. "Oh, thank you, honey. We try. It's all about evoking a bit of nostalgia, isn't it?" "Definitely," I said, nodding, my heart still doing that frantic little dance. This was it, the moment of truth. "Especially that mannequin in the front window. I mean, wow, you guys must have so much fun coming up with new poses, right? I swear she changes positions constantly. You're so creative, always keeping things fresh." I tried to laugh, a light, airy sound that sounded like a strangled crow to my own ears. Martha chuckled softly. Her smile remained gentle, unhurried. "Oh, sweetie, that mannequin?" Her gaze flickered towards the window, then back to me, full of calm amusement. "Bless your heart, we haven't changed that mannequin in the window in... goodness me, must be 15 years now. Easy." The words hit me, like a physical blow. Not a loud, violent impact, but a slow, crushing weight. 15 years. "It's been there since before I started working here, you know," Martha continued, oblivious to the earthquake going on inside my head. "Part of the original display. A real icon.
We've never touched her, truly, never moved a single limb. Just dust her once in a while, that's about it. She offered another small, serene smile. She's a permanent fixture. Permanent fixture. The phrase echoed, reverberated, then smashed into 1,000 pieces in my mind. My carefully constructed reality, my logical explanations, my comforting memories of seeing someone move the mannequin, they all just shattered. The world tilted. The air left my lungs. My mouth was dry. My tongue felt too big, too thick. I just stood there, staring at Martha's kind, unsuspecting face, and I could feel something inside me snap. A delicate string, taut for too long, finally giving way. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. "Oh," I finally managed to croak out, the sound barely a whisper. "Oh, I see. Wow, I guess my eyes were playing tricks on me then." What a stupid thing to say. Martha just smiled, still so calm, so unthreatening. Happens to the best of us, dear. Sometimes things just look different, depending on the light or your mood, you know. My mood? Yeah, my mood. I mumbled something incoherent about needing to go, needing to get to work. I don't even know what I said. A mumbled sorry and a half-hearted wave. My legs felt like jelly, but I somehow managed to turn and shuffle towards the door. Each step was a struggle, like walking through thick mud. The bell jingled again as I pushed my way out, back into the gray, damp morning. The cold air hit my face, but I didn't feel it. I felt nothing. Just a vast, terrifying emptiness where my rational mind used to be. My head was spinning.
The words of Martha, so simple, so innocent, they were a death knell to everything I believed. I couldn't help it. I just couldn't. Against every fiber of my being, my head snapped back. My eyes locked onto the window. She was there, still facing me, still angled perfectly towards my path. But now, the smile. Oh God, the smile. It wasn't faint anymore. It wasn't just clear. It was wide. A broad, undeniable curve that stretched her lips into something utterly grotesque. It wasn't a human smile. It was a sneer. A mocking, triumphant sneer that radiated pure, unadulterated malice. Like she knew. Like she'd won. And her eyes, those glass eyes, they weren't static. Not anymore. I swear on everything that is holy, they narrowed. Just a tiny, almost imperceptible shift, like a person squinting. Then they widened again, slowly, deliberately, like she'd just finished a spectacular trick, a grand deception, and was now basking in the glorious terror of her reveal. My whole body just locked up. A wave of icy horror, colder than anything I'd ever felt, washed over me, chilling me to my bones. Every single hair on my arms stood on end. If it wasn't the staff moving it, then what the hell was? The question clawed at my brain, ripping through every last thread of sanity I had left. It screamed, it roared, it echoed in the cavernous, broken space where my reason used to be. What moved it? What moved it? And then another thought, even worse, even more terrifying, slammed into me with the force of a freight train. It knows. It knows I know. What's going to happen next? Oh fuck, what's going to happen